Once upon a time, in the lush lands of what is now southwest Nigeria, there existed a powerful empire known as the Oyo Empire. This empire thrived from the 17th to the 19th century and owed its dominance to its formidable cavalry units. Led by skilled warriors, the Oyo people conquered and ruled over other Yoruba peoples in the region. At the heart of the empire stood the bustling city of Old Oyo, nestled near the mighty Niger River. It was here that the Oyo Empire prospered, engaging in lucrative regional trade. One of their most profitable endeavors was the trade of slaves, which earned them the infamous moniker of the Slave Coast. They played a crucial role in facilitating the movement of slaves from Africa's interior to waiting European ships along the coast. The origins of the Oyo Empire can be traced back to the ancient city of Ife, where a prince named Oranmiyan, son of the legendary Oduduwa, laid the foundation for the Oyo state. Over time, the Oyo inherited a rich cultural tradition, influenced by neighboring kingdoms like Benin and Ife. They established principal settlements in Ife, Old Oyo, Kusu, and Igboho, where trade flourished and prosperity reigned. As the Oyo Empire grew in wealth and power, it attracted the attention of European powers like the Portuguese, British, French, and Dutch, all eager to capitalize on the lucrative trade opportunities in the region. However, despite their military prowess and economic success, the Oyo Empire eventually faced challenges from expanding Islamic states to the north, and the Oyo Empire flourished amidst a diverse landscape encompassing rainforests, dry forests, savannas, and mangrove swamps. However, it was the fertile savanna regions that proved most beneficial to the empire, fostering easy movement and trade relations with neighboring states. Like other prosperous states in the region, the Oyo Empire thrived on local resources such as okra, yams, dates, palm oil, and fish. Their mastery of iron-smelting technology enabled them to produce an array of iron tools and weapons, which were highly sought after in trade. Additionally, the Oyo engaged in the trade of various goods such as kola nuts, pepper, ivory, gold, and slaves. The slave trade, in particular, played a significant role in the economy of the Oyo Empire. By the 18th century CE, half of the slaves taken from Africa originated from the southern coast of West Africa, including regions controlled by the Oyo Empire. This area, known as the Slave Coast, was a hub for the transatlantic slave trade, with the Oyo Empire and neighboring kingdoms like Dahomey and Benin playing crucial roles in organizing and facilitating the movement of slaves from the interior to the coast. Despite attempts to downplay their involvement in the slave trade, evidence suggests that the Oyo Empire heavily relied on slaves within its own state structures. Many officials in the administration and military were of slave origin, highlighting the extent of their reliance on slave labor. In exchange for their involvement in the slave trade, the Oyo Empire received European goods, which they either used themselves or traded with neighboring states. And also the Oyo Empire's expansion knew no bounds, fueled by their formidable cavalry and archers, honed through their extensive commercial networks that stretched northward to the trans-Saharan trade routes. With their military prowess, the Oyo rulers carved out a small empire, stretching across the southwest region. Their conquests extended into the savannah to the north, where they seized territory from neighboring states such as Borgu and Nupe. Despite facing challenges, such as the temporary loss of Old Oyo to the Nupe in 1535 CE, the Oyo kings eventually reclaimed their stronghold and continued to expand their influence. Vassal states like Owu in the south and E to the southeast fell under Oyo's dominion as the empire reached its zenith in the first half of the 17th century. They conquered a total of 13 rival kingdoms, driven by the desire to control the lucrative trade routes for salt, gold, and slaves. However, not all regions were easily subdued by the Oyo Empire. Forested areas inhabited by groups like the Ijesha proved challenging for their cavalry, while the presence of the tsetse fly posed a threat to their expansion. Similarly, the hilly terrain bordering the far northern stretches of Oyo lands, home to the Akiti people, presented obstacles to their conquests. To the east, the Kingdom of Benin stood as a formidable rival to Oyo's ambitions, challenging their expansion efforts. Despite facing resistance, the Oyo Empire absorbed cultural ideas from their rivals, incorporating Nupe's ancestor worship into their religious practices. Meanwhile, to the west, the Kingdom of Dahomey also sought to control trade routes, leading to conflicts between the two powers. The Oyo-Dahomey War between 1726 and 1730 CE ended with victory for the Oyo Empire, establishing their dominance over Dahomey. As a result, Dahomey accepted Oyo's political authority, and Oyo claimed some of Dahome's coastal conquests, gaining direct access to the sea via the tributary state of Ajash, also known as Porto Novo. Continuing our saga, despite the Oyo Empire's regional dominance, a formidable threat loomed on the horizon from the north. In the 18th century, the northern Islamic states embarked on a holy war to spread their faith, expanding their territory southward. These invasions posed a grave challenge to the Oyo Empire, disrupting its trade networks and exposing the weaknesses in its political structure. Within the empire, tensions simmered between the Alafin, the king of Oyo, and the ruling council of elders known as the Oyo Mesi, as well as the military leader, the Bashorum. Conflicting interests emerged between those advocating for peaceful trade and those favoring military expansion. This internal strife, coupled with the loose control over vassal states, left the Oyo Empire vulnerable to external threats. The storm finally broke in the 1820s CE, with the arrival of the militant Muslim Fulani. They swiftly conquered the northern part of the Oyo Empire, including Ilorin, transforming it into the Fulani Emirate of Ilorin under the Sokoto Caliphate. This defeat dealt a devastating blow to the Oyo Empire, triggering its rapid decline. The once mighty empire began to unravel, fragmenting into smaller states engaged in fierce competition and warfare. This political turmoil had dire consequences for the Yoruba people, who had largely avoided enslavement until that point. With the collapse of the Oyo Empire, they became the primary targets of the transatlantic slave trade, enduring untold suffering as they were captured and shipped to the Americas. As the 19th century progressed, the landscape of what is now Nigeria underwent significant changes. In 1861 CE, the area became a British colony, marking the beginning of British rule. Over time, the protectorates of North and South Nigeria were established in 1900 CE, paving the way for eventual federation in 1954 CE. Finally, in 1960 CE, Nigeria gained independence, marking the end of centuries of colonial rule and the beginning of a new era for the Nigerian people. As Nigeria gained independence in 1960 CE, the Nigerian people embarked on a journey of self-determination and nation-building. Despite the scars of colonialism and the tumultuous history of the Oyo Empire, the Nigerian people remained resilient, determined to forge a brighter future for themselves and their descendants. In the decades that followed independence, Nigeria faced numerous challenges, including political instability, ethnic tensions, and economic struggles. However, the spirit of unity and resilience prevailed, as Nigerians worked together to overcome these obstacles and build a more inclusive and prosperous society. Today, Nigeria stands as a vibrant and diverse nation, rich in culture, history, and natural resources. While the legacy of the Oyo Empire serves as a reminder of Nigeria's past glory and resilience, the country looks towards the future with optimism and determination. As Nigeria continues to navigate the complexities of modern governance and development, the lessons of its history, including the rise and fall of empires like Oyo, serve as valuable guideposts for the journey ahead.